Good morning, my name is Gerald Forlan. I've got a question for McCulloch. Mr. McCulloch, it's my understanding that when Site 41 is totally completed, it will be the biggest landfill site in Ontario.
Not at all.
Yes, it is. If Site 41 is fully developed, it will be the biggest landfill site in the province of Ontario.
Yep. Site 41's development will make it the biggest landfill in the county of Simcoe. There are far larger landfills in Ontario.
It is fully developed over a number of years. It will be the biggest landfill site in Ontario. It is also my understanding that Site 41 is going to be used exclusively for the north part of Simcoe County, consisting of Tiny Tay, Penetang and Midland. Correct?
Correct. That's our C of A conditions.
Is it correct, sir?
That's the C of A condition. That's the only place it's allowed to take place.
Right now.
Okay, now could you explain to me, sir, why 4 modestly sized municipalities need the biggest landfill in Ontario?
Yes. Clearly.
You need an agenda.
My name is Mary Elizabeth Moore, and my question is perhaps to Mr. McCulloch or the other company. And that is, I understand that the permission was granted by the joint board that there be uninterrupted upward gradients in the water. And has the county received information from other studies that there are in some places downward gradients? Are you aware of that?
I understand what your question is. First off, my understanding is there in the entire term of monitoring, there's always been upward gradients at the base of the landfill site. Okay. Where some discrepancies come in is whether there's upward gradients across the existing surface. Because when we come in and build the landfill, we're digging down. And certainly in the spring and that sort of time, the water level is at or above the ground level because that's where the pressure is. But over the terms of the summer, those groundwater levels and those pressures could drop below the surface, not below the base of the landfill.
So we would have to rely on the liner to make sure that things don't go down then.
No, what I said clearly is at the base of the landfill, the bottom of the landfill site,
yes,
there is that upward gradient. The liner is there as an additional protection. It's also there, as Mr. Hims mentioned, for the main purpose of keeping that water from coming into the site and having to deal with it as leachate at an extra cost. But it also does what we do in all our other engineered landfill sites. It works as another barrier to leachate leaving the site.
Thank you.
I'm fine. I have all the patience in the world.
My name is Robert Kepper, and I'm the chairman of the Simcoe County Milk Producers. And I'm glad to see the county councillors that are in this room today, and I hope that the county councillors will consider what the local farmers and community people who pay taxes have to say about the threat to the quality of water. The farmers and the First Nations before them have been the stewards of the land for centuries. I would assert that they have done an excellent job, and think I have the proof. I encourage all county councillors to study the water testing studies done by Dr. Shodek from the June 30th, 2009 studies, and I'm sure all county councillors have a copy of this, with testing for nitrates, phosphates, and pesticides like atrazine and simazine. The results showed quantities below the limits of detections. This is amazing. The analyst, Dr. Jean-Daniel Berset of Switzerland, said he had never tested such clean groundwater. This is amazing, as these chemicals are what should show up in a farming community. These farmers in this area are to be respected and listened to. And then this weekend we hear commercials on the radio saying that the Ministry of the Environment will protect us. My question is, will the Ministry of the Environment have water samples tested from any of the dump sites in Simcoe County and send them to the lab in Switzerland and compare them to the results of the water that is already at Site 41. And until we get the results and see how good of a steward the Ministry of the Environment is to our water, will the county councillors listen to the farmers and the First Nations who have been the stewards of this area for centuries instead of the Ministry of the Environment? Thank you.
My name is Chris Hyde. I'm the district supervisor with the Barrie District Office of the Ministry of the Environment, and you'd asked if the ministry would send water samples from the other landfill sites in Simcoe County to Dr. Shotek. The Ministry of the Environment, for all of the active landfill sites, and Bob McCullough can speak to this, owned by the county or the city of Barrie or city of Orillia, the very extensive groundwater and surface water monitoring programs to ensure that there are no off-site adverse impacts from those landfill sites. If those monitoring reports are submitted to the Ministry of the Environment on an annual basis, and many of them are required if there are exceedances for any of the trigger criteria, that they notify us immediately. The Ministry has required in the past the county to undertake groundwater remediation programs at landfill sites that they inherited from the lower tier municipalities and ensure that those sites are remediated and re-engineered and the groundwater and surface water resources are protected. Now, so that information, and the ministry is satisfied that those monitoring programs are identifying any areas of concern on any of the county landfill sites in Barrie or in Orillia as well. Is there anything else I can add?
You were asked a question about will you send the samples to Switzerland?
Any additional sampling that are done at the laboratories at the County of Simcoe and their consultants submit their samples to are certified by the Ministry of the Environment, and we have some of the toughest standards for analytical laboratories in the world for sampling criteria. Also, whenever there is some question about water quality that we have concerns with, we will collect our own samples and send them to the Ministry of the Environment's laboratory in Rexdale, which sets those standards for the other laboratories in this province.
So that's a no.
The ministry standards are also utilized in other jurisdictions around North America and other provinces. So we are satisfied that we have some of the strictest groundwater criteria and drinking water quality standards in North America, and we are satisfied that the sampling that we do and the lab analysis that the laboratories in this province do are satisfactory. We wouldn't have any need to send any other samples overseas to another lab.
So it shouldn't be a problem.
There was actually two parts to that question, and the second part, if you'll permit me, was a question to the councillors rather than to technical experts. I'd suggest that's not a question that the people sitting up here can answer, but it's a question that the councillors sitting in this room can take note of. Is that okay with everybody? And
I can keep standing back until you think I deserve it.
I'm not asking you to serve penance here. I just want to make sure that if you want to ask a question, please make it a question.
Yeah.
I would like to ask a question. We're talking about the calibrated module, and we've heard from the experts on the panel that there was some pretty good interchange at this tri-party meeting about the calibrated model. So would Mr. Hims verify that the calibrated model, the original calibrated model from 2000, was what was seen at the tri-party meetings? That's the question.
Okay.
The answer to that was given at the tri-party meeting, and it is that the original model was in a certain version of this software, Visual Model Flow. Over the intervening years, that software has been upgraded, and in order to do the on-the-spot scenario modeling that Dr. Rowe had asked for and we agreed to do, we updated the model to the current version of Visual Model Flow. And that's what was presented at the tri-party meeting.